right, everyone, so this is the last module. You made it all the way through. It's 4 hours of content. I hope you learned something. So this module, we're going to talk about spotting, spot cleaning techniques, cleaning products to use for what things. This is basic. This isn't covering every single spot in the world. That's going to be for you to learn about. We do know the chemistry behind it. Once you know the chemistry, then you know how to attack a spot. Just think about what it's made out of and go to it. So anyway, no more talk from me. Make sure you give a thumbs up. If you got value out of this, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe, because now we're going back into marketing and pricing and all that kind of good stuff with your business. So we're going to get back into business again, which is my bread and butter. It's what I like to do, but I wanted to give you guys this opportunity to learn about your craft, especially if you're new. Even some of you that have been around for a while that have never been certified, that have never learned these concepts, I hope that you got a lot out of it. Please let me know in the comments. If you want to work with me directly, I'm happy to do so. Anyway, let's get right into the module and learn how to do some spot cleaning. And I'll see you in the next video. Talk to you soon.
Welcome to Professional Carpet Cleaning Course, Module 8, Specialty Spotting. There's 3 types of spots in carpet cleaning. Spot is just kind of a generic term, but there's really 3 types. So we have spots. It's going to be any foreign material. It's going to add texture to the carpet. Paint. It can be things like Play-Doh, glue. Anything that adds texture to the carpet is going to be considered a spot. Stains are a substance that becomes absorbed into the fiber. You can have coffee, drink spills, any number of things that gets down into the fiber and is absorbed into those fibers. And then you have a discoloration. Any area that it's lost its dye is a discoloration. And you're going to have your clients sometimes ask if you can get that out. And you have to explain to them there's nothing to get out. The carpet's actually lost its dye. Now it could be from peroxide product or a bleach spill, or somebody's tried to clean with something that has bleach in it. Acne medications remove the color from the carpet. So now when you're dealing with a spot, say you've cleaned the whole carpet and now you have a spot that didn't come out in your cleaning, the first thing you need to do is identify the source. You need to know what type of spot it is in order to remove it properly or efficiently. Sometimes it's going to be easy. You're going to just know what it is. Other times it's going to be a mystery to everybody in the house. So there's a few steps you can do to try to run a mystery spot down to kind of figure out what it is. Number 1, ask. You'd be surprised at how many times you run into a spot and nobody's ever seen it before until that day. You ask them, where's this spot come from? And they'll say, I never noticed that spot before. And it's really surprising. Sometimes it could be right in the middle of a living room and everybody says, I never even realized that was there until that day. That's also why it's important to do a pre-inspection, because you want to make sure they know about these spots, because sometimes if it's a spot that can't be removed, they're going to say, well, that wasn't there before you started cleaning, even though it was. They just didn't notice it. 2, is there a texture? Can you feel the spot? Is it a spot or a stain? So if it's got a texture to it, maybe we can figure out, okay, we need to release it from the carpet fiber. It won't be a stain, but once you figure out how to release it, it comes loose. Where is the spot? Is it a doorway? Is it a dining room? Is it next to a window? Is it next to a sliding glass door? Is it next to the leg of a furniture or where somebody would spill something? All those things can help you figure out what type of spot it is. What's the shape? Is it perfectly round? Is it square? Is it misshapen? Is it a splatter? And once you see what it's shaped like, you could tell, well, somebody knocked over a cup here. It's got that shape. Somebody dropped a wine glass and it's splattered. So it could be any number of different shapes. If it's a square, it's probably what's called a furniture stain. They moved a piece of furniture that had gotten wet at one time and it left a square mark. Is there an odor? Is there a unique smell to it? A lot of things will just have a specific smell and you'll get to know those smells. We call this the sniff test. Not always the funnest thing to do, but sometimes once you know what it smells like, once you know the odor, you can place what it is. And pH, of course, not all of you are going to have a pH meter at the start, but all of you should have some pH strips. And the pH strips can help to tell you what the pH of the spot is. So if we know that it's a 6, then we know we can hit it with the opposite side of the pH scale. So spray an 8 or a 9 on it, and it'll probably release that spot or that stain. There's going to be some tools that you'll need to do most spotting procedures. You won't need all of these on every spot, but these will help you to identify. Some will help you remove the spots or stains. Number one is you should be wearing gloves. Anytime you're working with chemicals where you're likely to get them on your hands, you want to have a pair of protective gloves on. These can be gotten online. They can be gotten at janitorial supply stores, Home Depot, Lowe's. Every place carries them. So they're easy to come by and they're fairly cheap. Have a steam iron with you at all times. It sounds strange, but it's going to be used quite a bit. I recommend you just find the cheapest steam iron you can. A lot of times, just go to yard sales for one weekend and you can pick up 2 or 3 steam irons really cheap for a couple bucks, because they're going to get beat up. They're not going to be hanging in a closet. They're going to be in your truck or in your van, and they're going to get moved around quite a bit, and they're going to get dropped. So you don't want to spend a lot of money on these steam irons. All you need them to do is produce a lot of steam. Look at the bottom of the steam iron. Make sure there's the most holes you can get. There's little holes on the bottom of the steam iron that the steam comes out of. Get as many holes as you can. Some just have an outer ring of steam holes. Others have a whole bunch of them on the whole bottom. So just look around and see if you can find one with a good amount of steam holes that still functions properly and produces steam. A hand extraction tool isn't absolutely necessary. You can use a cleaning wand as well, but you get a little bit more detail with a portable hand tool or cleaning wand like that. It allows you to get real up and close and right on that spot and apply the moisture to where you need it and the extraction where you need it. Next is the pH testing strips or a pH meter. Those are going to tell you what the pH of the area is, so you can in turn use the right product or the right pH of product to remove the stain. Next is spray bottle. This is for applying different spotters to the spot or stain that needs to be removed. A bone scraper. Now this comes in different shapes and sizes and from different manufacturers. It doesn't always look like that. That's just a classic bone scraper. It's not going to harm the carpet when you are using it to agitate, and it can be used, the sharp end can be used to kind of poke or score if you're trying to get out gum, or you can score it, and it allows the cleaning product to get down inside and loosen up that spot. A tamping brush. Now you normally use a brush to scrub things. This is not a brush used to scrub anything with. It's used by putting down a towel on top of the spot that's been treated and then tapping the brush down on top of the towel to aid in absorption. So you're going to absorb the stain into the towel by tapping on it with a brush. Next, you have some duckbill scissors. These can also be called napping shears. You can get them either at a flooring store, a flooring supply place, or you can get them at sewing stores, but they have an angle to them that allows you to get flat onto the floor. This is used for trimming. Sometimes you're going to have to trim a spot off the carpet. It could be glue that you can't dissolve, or paint that's right on the tips, or nail polish. Sometimes you need to trim it. You just trim the tip right off the carpet and you'll never know it was there. The UV light, that is for an inspection process. Urine glows under a UV light. So sometimes if they have a pet and you need to treat a specific pet spot, you need to know where that spot's at. With a UV light, you can inspect the area, just dim the lights in the room and shine that light, and you will see every pet spot on that carpet, and you can treat them accordingly. Now the spotting chemicals. There's a few of these, and there's a few more, of course, that I have listed. These are the basics. This is what you should have in your possession at any given time so you can get most any spot out. If it can be removed, you can typically get it out. There are some things that you're never going to be able to get out, such as hair dye, and we do have a solution for that. I will be demoing how to perform a bonded insert in and certain other repairs where you actually cut the carpet out, the stained carpet, and replace it with a new piece. But if it can be removed chemically, we're going to go ahead and get it out. We don't want to have to cut into the carpet if we don't absolutely have to. So we'll go over these. There's the solvent spotters up on the right. These are going to be used for a lot of the things like paint, ink, tar. They work well on grease. They work well on copy toner. Some of the more difficult spots you're going to have to get out with a solvent spotter. Next, we have on the bottom left the Stain Magic. That is a product that is a must-have have, you should always have this product with you at all times. It's going to work for any number of very common stains. Works great on coffee and tea, and very well on pet stains as well. Next, Red 1. This used to be Red Relief. They still manufacture Red Relief, and it comes in the 2-pack, just like that Stain Magic. But they have improved it, and Red 1 is what I would recommend you keep right now. It doesn't require any mixing. It works well right out of the bottle. Sometimes you can just apply it to a red stain before the cleaning, and if it sits for a sufficient amount of time, it'll be gone by the time you actually get to clean it. Rinse it away and you're done. Rust away. There's going to be rust stains that you're going to run into, usually from the bottom of some sort of furniture. It got wet or somebody spilled something and it started to rust. Rust is really easy to take care of, so always have the rust away with you. I do use a lot of Pro's Choice products. There's a reason for that. They work well. They work very well, and they can always be counted on for being consistent and working excellent. A protein spotter. This is going to work for any food-based stain that you have after the cleaning's over and it's not coming out. You know it's in a dining room and it's a spill maybe under a chair or a table, and you know it's from food but it didn't come out. Protein spotter is going to be your go-to on that. Ink out. This isn't available in all areas, but if you can get it, it works fantastic. It is a bear to rinse out, but it will dissolve the ink. Next we have the Citrogel. This is going to be for any oily spot. So you might have spilled salad dressing, or maybe somebody tracked in something oily on their shoes, and that's going to be used to release those products. First, we're going to go into synthetic dye stains. These are acid dyes. Just like from the factory, they're going to be acid dyes. They're going to be absorbed into the carpet fibers. Now, if a carpet is newer generation, has acid dye resistors, sometimes these spots rinse out because they're blocked from the dye sites by the acid dye resistors. But if it doesn't rinse out, this method will be used. These dyes chemically attach themselves to the fibers. They are not going to be washed away, like I said, unless it's a newer fiber. In order to remove these, you're going to have to use a reducer. The Red 1 product by Pro's Choice is a reducer. It works by removing oxygen from the stain, and it chemically alters the color of the stain. It doesn't technically remove it, but it chemically alters the color, so it renders it invisible. Now, how you use this product is you just simply spray it on. A lot of times if you come up to the red stain and you see it before you start cleaning, I do recommend go ahead and spray the red one on it prior to cleaning. Let it do its work. Right at the beginning, you can spray it before or after the pre-spray goes down. The longer it makes contact, the better. As it sits, this product will go to work right away. Sometimes it will take it out almost immediately. Other times it's going to take a half hour or so to pull. Other times it won't pull at all until you apply the steam. So if it's one that doesn't come out, what you do, if it's been sitting for a while, go ahead and apply a fresh treatment of the Red 1. Soak a terry cloth towel in water. Wring it out just a little bit, but you want it fairly wet. Grab your steam iron, put the towel on top of the stain, and then put the iron on top of the towel and let it steam. The key to this is applying steam to the stain. Usually with Red 1, I'll let it sit there for a good 30 seconds to a minute. Pull the towel and take a look at it. If it's gone, you're good to go. If it's still there a little bit, turn the towel around to a fresh spot, make sure it's nice and wet, and go ahead and steam it some more. Give it another 30 seconds to a minute, and then take it up and check it out. Sometimes you need to do this 4 or 5 times before it's completely gone. Other times, within 10 seconds, it's gone. So it just depends. You just have to work at it. If you see any progress at all, keep going. Sometimes you'll want to add more and then go again. Other times you'll be able to get it out in the first shot. Natural dye stains. This is going to be coffee, tea, urine, vomit, blood, mustard. All of those are going to be treated with this. And just keep in mind, Stain Magic is for natural dye stains. Red 1 is for synthetic dye stains. So anything that comes from nature, you're going to treat it with Stain Magic. This is another Pro's Choice product. And remember, you have to have this product on the van. If there's 2 products you need to have, it's the Red 1, the Stain Magic. And it's going to attack a lot of the stains that are difficult to remove in any other way. With coffee, there are tannin stain removers. I didn't list those here because they just don't work as well as the Stain Magic. A lot of times you'll apply a tannin stain remover and it just doesn't work. You end up having to use Stain Magic anyway. So just go right to the Stain Magic. This product works over time and it doesn't need to be rinsed. So a coffee spot's left after you're cleaning, spray the Stain Magic on. groom the carpet, and walk away. Let the customer know we treated all your coffee spots. They should be disappearing within the next couple hours. If they don't disappear completely, please call me back. I'd be happy to spray a second treatment on, which typically will knock them out 100%. These dyes are also bonded to the carpet. Stain Magic is an oxidizer, so it's the opposite of the Red Relief. Red Relief removes oxygen. Stain Magic adds oxygen. Make sure you're using gloves with this product. It will sting your hands. Now, with these type of stains, sometimes they can be really stubborn. Mustard is one of them. With mustard, the best way to remove it is with Stain Magic, but it requires the use of UV light. So if you're not by a window works perfectly for UV, spray the Stain Magic on the mustard and let it stand in the sun. Other times you might need to use what's called an activation light. It's a light that has a UV bulb in it. Set that UV bulb on top of it, and over the next couple hours, it usually will fade out. If you don't have a light, you may be out of luck with the mustard. Mustard can be really difficult to get out. Now, if your customer calls you back and says it didn't come out, and you go back and it didn't really lighten up at all, you might check Stain Magic or with steam. Same process as the Red Relief. You need to be really, really careful with steam. With steam and Stain Magic, it can activate it to a point where it will pull the color right out of the carpet. So you don't want to go any more than 5 or 10 seconds at a time before you check it. And as soon as you see any indication that you might be pulling carpet color, stop and tell them it's a permanent stain, or you can do a bonded insert where we cut that piece out. And again, I'll be demoing that in another module. Now, protein stains, we talked a little bit about that. If it's in an area like a dining room where it's likely to have food stains, you may have to use a protein spotter on several of those food stains. Also, food stains tend to be a combination stain, so it could have an oily food, or it could have a food that's oily and has dyes in it. So now you have 3 things you're dealing with. Pull the food out, you may still have dyes left. You hit that with the Red Relief. It's usually good. Or the oily, if you need to use your citrus spotter as well. Some of these spots can be difficult to remove. Now, if you use a pre-spray that's an enzyme pre-spray, many times it will take care of any of these spots and you don't have to worry about the protein stain spotter. I don't even carry a protein stain spotter because I clean with an enzyme cleaner. However, there are those times where you'll have the food come out and then the red stain still be there, or a colored stain where there's some synthetic dyes that were used in the manufacturing of the food. Then you have to use your Red Relief or Stain Magic to pull any particular spot out. Next, we have rust. Rust is one of the easier ones to remove. Get a good rust product. This is Pro's Choice Rust Away. Apply the product. Let it sit for 10-15 minutes. Typically, I will treat the spot before I extract, so I'll pre-spray everything and then I'll treat the rust spots, and that'll give them some sufficient dwell time. And then as I do my rinse, everything comes out, rust is gone, everybody's happy. And you may want to, depending on the product you use, some require them to be neutralized. And really all rust products should be neutralized, so if you treat these before you pre-spray, you wouldn't have to neutralize them. The alkaline pre-spray would neutralize the acidic rust remover. The only thing you need to make sure it has sufficient dwell time before it's neutralized with your pre-spray. So as you're pre-spraying, make sure that the spot is already dissolved. Then go ahead, spray your pre-spray, and then when you rinse, you don't have a final treatment that you have to do. It'll already be neutralized with your pre-spray. So oily stains or spots, very easy to remove. Sometimes you'll run into these all the time, just a little black spot or a little gray spot. Treat it with your Citrogel. This should be practically in your pocket the whole time you're cleaning, as you're going to run into spots that don't respond to your pre-spray. Treat them with some Citrogel and they'll go right away. Make sure you rinse well. A lot of these are made with D-linamine, so you want to make sure you rinse really well. A lot of times you can see they will foam up on you a little bit. When the foam stops, you've done a good job of rinsing. I do use this product, which is a ProChem citrus gel. Works really well. Rinses clean. All chemical companies manufacture a citrus gel, so very easy to come by. Some rinse better than others, some work better than others. Most of them are really similar. I do tend to like this ProChem citrus gel. Seems to work really well for me. Just apply it to a spot, agitate, and you're good to go. Just extract it out. Now, candle wax is fairly common. You'll find them usually near furniture where the candle got warm and melted a hole through the side and all the wax just comes pouring out onto the carpet. Now, if it's colored wax, you could definitely have a problem with color once you pull the wax out. Wax is fairly easy to remove. Get a dry terry cloth towel, put your steam iron on a steam setting and set it on top of that towel. The steam will melt the wax underneath it. I do like to apply pressure to that towel. You want to make sure that towel is making contact with the melted wax. As soon as the wax melts, it will be pulled up into the towel. The towel is much more absorbent than a nylon or polyester carpet, so it's going to pull it out automatically. You want to flip the towel over, turn it around, get an area that hasn't been saturated with wax, and just keep going until all that wax is removed. Now, if there's a color left behind, sometimes Red Relief will pull it. Now, it's a different type of dye, so sometimes it's going to be a permanent stain. I always recommend to my customers that they don't buy colored candles. If they do have colored candles, make sure they're in a place where if they did leak out of the candle, that it wouldn't get on their carpet. But any place where it's a table that's over the top of carpet, I tell them only white or only uncolored candles should be used in those areas. So keep in mind, the color could be permanent, so once you pull it out, try Red Relief, try with heat. If it doesn't pull, you're probably out of luck on that spot. Now, ink, depending on where you're at in the country, I can't buy ink out anymore, so I'm going to have to go a different direction. Ink's either really easy or it can be a real problem. Sometimes you might be cleaning carpet and you didn't even notice an ink spot, and then as soon as you hit with water, it just starts to explode on you. Make sure you pay close attention. If something's an ink spot, you want to make sure that you're not just going at it with your normal carpet cleaning, so because your pre-spray and the heat from your machine may just start to spread it. So treat the ink spots. Make sure you get on them before you clean them. If you can buy ink out, what I recommend is you actually cover the spot in Stain Magic. So you're going to spray the Stain Magic all around it, and that's going to help it with spreading. If it wants to spread, it's going to run into the Stain Magic, and the Stain Magic's going to help to contain it. Then put the ink out on the ink spot. Use your hand tool. You want to agitate it a little bit with that bone scraper. When it starts to dissolve, you'll notice it want to liquefy, and then you're going to hit it with your extractor. Extract it out. You may have to do this process several times. What you don't want to do is apply the ink out and just keep digging with the bone scraper until you think it's all the way dissolved, because it's going to want to go down into the carpet as well as spread. You want to get the ink out as much as you can each time and then retreat it. Go at it again, retreat it. Extract as much as you can. If there's still some left, retreat it. Make sure you keep that Stain Magic there. A lot of times with ink, there might be one or two fibers that are just completely saturated with ink. If it was like a felt tip marker, it was making contact with one individual carpet fiber, trim that fiber out. Use your scissors, get in there, pop that fiber out, one or two or three of the most effective ones before you start the process. That way, those individual fibers don't explode and release ink to all the neighboring fibers. Now, if you're in California or someplace where you can't get the ink out, Power Gel also works really well. Same process, Stain Magic to surround the spot, Power Gel to dissolve the ink and extract. What you want to do is be careful with these, like especially the Power Gel or different solvents like that. They will also work to dissolve the latex that's bonding the backings of the carpet together and that's holding the carpet together. So you don't want to over apply these products. Once that latex is dissolved, it's not going to be sticky anymore after it dries. So you could start losing fiber in that area. So just be careful with any of the solvent types. Another one that you run into sometimes in the home, more times you'll see it in an office setting. What's most important here is to dry vacuum as much as you possibly can before you start trying to remove it. Now, I would suggest that you get down there with your hand tool and extract dry. Don't spray, just get your hand extractor down there and go at it as much as you can dry. Get as much of that dry powder out as you can. As soon as you apply water to this type of spot, you're very likely to set it. So don't apply water until you're absolutely ready to do so. Once you get it all dry vacuumed, what you want to do is apply the Power Gel product, is another Pro's Choice product, to this contaminated area. You're going to agitate it with a bone scraper. We're not applying water yet, just the gel. Now you'll see it start to dissolve and go into the gel. It's going to be a little bit foamy, so you want to go ahead and do that. Stir it up. You're creating a foam, and the foam is going to go ahead and hold that dry graphite or copy toner inside the foam. Keep working on that area until you're pretty convinced that it's dissolved, that it's come loose from the carpet fibers. Now you want to extract it, and extract really slow and really well. You want to get all that toner out as you're rinsing. So keep on rinsing, keep on rinsing. This is a foamy product, so you have to keep on going until you don't have any more foam. It might take a while. So just keep going until there's no more color in the stain. If there's a little bit of color, do a little bit more powder gel treatment. If you can't get any more to come out, then you want to go ahead, spray the Stain Magic, and let it sit. The color is going to fade as the carpet dries. I run into this a lot with people that were broken into, and the police came in and started fingerprinting their furniture. That's graphite. So you want to make sure, if anybody says the police came in and I had a break-in and they fingerprinted this area, then you know what it is. It's graphite. Don't get it wet. Don't think it's just, oh, it's just a gray spot, it'll come out in my cleaning. No, you could set the stain. So if you see a spot that's suspicious like this, make sure you ask, what was this from? Where did this come from? And sometimes maybe they forgot, oh yeah, I had a break-in and they did some fingerprinting there. You want to make sure that you know that. You don't want to create more of a mess by trying to extract it without dissolving it out of the fiber first. Next we have paint or nail polish. This can be really difficult sometimes. Nail polish takes a long time. Make sure you're charging a sufficient amount to remove a nail polish spot. It's not going to be easy. Now this product from Pro's Choice is fantastic at dissolving paint. Latex paint in a matter of minutes will completely dissolve after it's dry. Now if you get a paint spot that you get lucky enough to get there when it's still wet, I've had this a couple times where the customer calls me immediately right when the paint is spilled and I'm close enough to get there before it dries. If you have a customer that calls you and says, we spilled paint, what do we do? And you can't get there for 2 or 3 hours, what you want to tell them to do is absolutely soak a towel and put the wet towel right on top of the paint spot. That will keep the paint wet long enough for you to get there, finish your job that you're on and get there. Because if it's wet, all you have to do, if it's latex paint, is extract it with a ton of water. Just keep extracting till it's gone. And when you think it's gone, extract some more because it's probably not gone. Sometimes it's down in the padding. You might have to disengage the carpet and get down to access the padding, because if you rinse it, it looks gone, you may have it wick up to the surface as it dries. So very important. If it's dry, apply this product. Now be careful, this is one of those products that will dissolve the latex in the backing. So you want to try to apply it sparingly. You don't want to put a ton of it on. And then agitate it. Use that bone scraper, poke at it, pull the pieces apart, make sure that that paint is being saturated with this product. You can spray this product so it's able to put a trigger sprayer in it and mist it from the top. That's a little bit better if you're worried about it soaking down into the latex at the back of the carpet. Spray it on the surface of that paint. You could use a small bristle brush. Your tamping brush is good to tap it with. Put a towel over it and you could tap it. You want to give it a little bit of agitation. That's going to dissolve the paint. When it seems like it's dissolved, go ahead and extract it. Hottest water possible. Extract it. If there's a little bit left, reapply and start over again. You just need to be patient. With nail polish, you definitely want to be careful because it's going to want to spread. It's an oil-based paint. It's going to just want to spread on you. So you want to also, again, surround that area with Stain Magic to help with that. And then take a small area at a time. Sometimes with nail polish, you're going to be able to trim the surface where you'll find the greatest concentration of nail polish right on the tips. So trim it off as much as you can and then treat the stain with this and then extract. You want to keep on it. It will want to spread. So just take your time and work slowly. Next is the video portion. We're going to go over removal procedures for some of these spots. So let's go into the video right now. So we're going to do a few of the more common spots that you'll run into while cleaning carpet. The first one is going to be coffee, and we're going to deal with Stain Magic on this portion as well. But you always want to start with your extraction. So if you're doing this in a cleaning, typically with a coffee spot, I'm just going to do my normal cleaning, and then I'm going to follow up with the spotting if necessary. But if you're just going in and you're going to clean a spot, say they just had one spot in the room they wanted cleaned up, so you go in there and do it. You're going to mix up some of your typical cleaning product that you normally use, and you're going to go ahead and just spray that on there and extract it out. You want to extract this because typically people have cream, have sugar, different additives in their coffee. It's not just black coffee. However, if it is just black coffee, you can skip straight to this final step, which is Stain Magic. So you're going to mix up some Stain Magic. You're going to spray it on liberally. You want to make sure you give it a nice good coat. You want to make sure it's coming in contact with all that coffee, and then you're just going to walk away. Same thing if you just cleaned it and you sprayed your Stain Magic. Now you can walk away. That spot will take some time to disappear. Let your client know that just to keep an eye on it. If there's any spot left the next day, they can feel free to give you a call and you can come back and spray it if necessary. But it will disappear. Next, we're going to move on to red stains. Now, red stains is where you can really be a hero for your client. Many times I'll come into a client's home and they say, you won't get this spot out. The last 2-3 cleaners said it was permanent, so don't worry about that spot. And just agree with them, say, oh, okay, that sounds good. Thank you for letting me know, and proceed to do your cleaning. Now, as usual, you want to extract first. If this is a standalone spot, make sure you're extracting, because a lot of times it's sugar from Kool-Aid or from popsicles, something like that. And then once it's extracted, you can start with your removal process. Now, there's two types of red products. There's the Pro Choice products. They have the red one, which I'm using here, and they also had red relief, which also works. The red one is more convenient. It's non-mixed, so it's ready to go. You just spray it on and go. The red relief works as well, but it's a little more complicated to use. It's a two-part, so you do have to mix it together. So once you spray your red relief on, you want to make sure you get it nice and worked in. And then we're going to have the steam iron here. We're going to set it to the medium to medium-high setting. And then you want a wet terry cloth towel. Not damp, you want it really sopping wet. And then you just set that steam iron on there and let it steam. Now it's the process of the steam that is really activating the chemical that's removing the red, and it's actually converting the red to a different color, so you're not going to be able to see it. It is not a heat transfer method. This is a chemical conversion method, so it's actually converting it to a color that you're not going to see. Now, after you're done with that step, you do want to make sure on this product that you do rinse it well, because it will, or it can cause problems later on. It may turn a little bit yellow on you if you let it sit for it to dry naturally. You could end up with a little yellow spot, which then you have to come back and take care of the yellow spot after the fact. So make sure you're rinsing really well with this. Sometimes you can even see that yellow appear right away, so make sure you're rinsing that yellow out. And typically, if it's Kool-Aid or popsicle, you'll get it out, not a problem. Next, we're going to move into grease. Grease is another really common one. Now, this would cover grease and oil. So if you have spilled food, much of the food we eat has oils in it or grease in it. So anytime you have either axle grease that somebody works in a shop and actually tracked it in through the garage, or you have spilled salad dressing, anything that might have an oil or a grease in it, this is what you want to do. You'll have any spotter is going to work on this. I use this product from ProChem. It's a citrus gel, and it works phenomenally well, and it doesn't have a lot of foam. It doesn't have a lot of residue, so it rinses clean, and I just really like it. You can get your citrus spotters from really any manufacturer. They all carry them. I've just been using this for years, and I really have come to like it, and it works really well. So just squirt a little bit on in there, and then start with your bone scraper to mix it back and forth. Always try when you're doing your bone scraper to pull towards the inside of the spot so you don't end up spreading it wider. Then, as always, you want to rinse. So rinse really well with the grease or the oils, because you want to make sure that you don't have to come back and do this twice. So make sure you're not leaving any of that grease or that oil residue behind, because it's going to attract soil Remember, oil is sticky, so if there's anything left, they're going to either call you back or they're going to say next time that you clean that, oh, that spot came back right away. And you don't want that to happen, because then they're losing confidence that you really know what you're doing, or that you're really the best cleaner for the job. So make sure you get this out 100%. And extraction is the key, definitely with heat. Now we're going to move on to gum. Now keep in mind this is a brand new gum spot, so it's a little bit different. If you have a gum that's sat there for 10 years and it's flat as a pancake, it's going to take a little bit more time. So what I'm doing here with the knife is I'm going to score it, and that what it does is it allows an entryway for your cleaning products. So I again will use the citrus gel on here as well. There are some different chemicals you can use specifically for gum, but the citrus gel works really well on the gum as well. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to poke it into, you want it to penetrate into the gum itself, and you'll see here that it's going to start to dissolve pretty quick or loosen up from the fibers. It's not really dissolving, but it is breaking loose from the carpet fiber. And as you can see, we're just going to kind of, on a new spot like this, you're going to more or less just pull it right off of the fiber. So most of this is going to come off before I even need to extract. So then just get your fingers in there and start pulling out the little bits and pieces as you go. Now if this is an old spot and it's flat to the ground, maybe it's a commercial carpet and people have walked on it, and it'll just feel like a hard piece of plastic. You want to score it really well, and you want to really let that citrus gel sit there. Let it sit there for 10-15 minutes. Sometimes I'll come back and I'll reapply a little bit more spotter if it looks like it's just drying out, and let it come in contact for a long period of time. Now after I initially do that, this is where I do a little bit of a second application just to make sure there's a little bit still in there. Most of this has come loose. I've let it set for a few minutes, let it dissolve, let it do its work, and then come back, give it a little bit more agitation, see if I can pick any more pieces out that are still kind of loose from the fiber, but they're breaking loose, so I can grab them with my fingers. And then you're going to extract. Now, heat is your friend when you're extracting gum. It will help to liquefy or just kind of break loose that gum. So you want to make sure you get the machine as hot as possible, use the hottest water you can, and just extract as much as you can. Now it'll come out. I have a little piece here that's still stuck. Just pulled it off my fingers and then continue to extract. The citrus gel will rinse pretty clean, so you don't have to worry too much about residue on that, but you do want to make sure you get 100% of that gum out, because that definitely will become noticeable. If dirt starts to stick to it, it'll just turn black. So the next thing we're going to look at is chocolate. So this specific chocolate was Hershey syrup. So I took it right out of the bottle and I just dumped a whole bunch of it, and I mixed it into the fiber so it's all the way down to the backing. And that's typical. You know, your kids are going to have chocolate milk, and they're going to be dribbling syrup, and they're going to be dropping all kinds of things. A lot of the times you'll get it and they'll have no idea what this is. It's just a big brown spot. And then you just have to assume that this is most likely, by the color of it, it's going to be some sort of food-based product. So what I'm going to use is an enzyme spotter. Now remember, I clean with an enzyme pre-treatment. So much of the time, if I see a spot like this, I'm going to clean right over the top of it. And the enzyme spotter is going to do the same thing that I'm doing here. So I'll spray the enzyme spotter and I'll scrub the carpet. Well, in this, if I'm just doing the single spot, of course, I'm going to use the bone scraper, and notice how I'm pulling that spot towards the inside. I'm not pushing that bone scraper out towards the edges. You want to pull it down into the middle. Now I'm just going to give it some time to sit. You're going to give it maybe 5-10 minutes, 15 minutes. If you're cleaning the carpet, just clean your carpet as normal, and when you get to that spot, you'll go ahead and extract it. And then what I'll do is, if I need to add a little bit more spray, I will, if it seems a little dry. If not, I'm just going to go straight into extracting it. And just extract it really well. With chocolates and things that are liquid, you want to make sure that As you're going, you're going to spread the fibers a little bit and make sure you're checking that backing, because a lot of times if it's a liquid, it's going to go right through to the backing of the carpet and even down into the pad. So you'll see here I'm spreading it out to look and see how the extraction is going deep down. You don't want to have a spot that resurfaces later on because you didn't extract it properly, because if it's drying out, it'll actually wick that chocolate right back up to the surface, and you'll get a call the next day saying that spot came back right away. So make sure you don't shoot yourself in the foot. Get this extracted completely and thoroughly all the way down to the backing of the carpet. Now the next one we're going to look at is barbecue sauce. And this could be barbecue sauce, it could be spaghetti sauce, it could be really any type of food-based product that has a significant amount of red or pink or brown food dyes or natural just colors from tomatoes, anything like that. So you're going to apply your enzyme spotter again. I clean with an enzyme pre-spray so I can eliminate that having to apply the enzyme spotter. Now enzymes work over time, so again make sure you're letting it sit for a significant amount of time. 10 minutes is typically sufficient. The longer the better. Enzymes work over time, so it's not the fastest cleaning product to use, but they do work really, really excellent on food-based stains. Now I added a little bit here. It was feeling it's a little bit dry still. I want to make sure that there's plenty of chemical there to do its job. And then again, when you're using that bone scraper, come towards the center of the spot. Don't spread it. Just work it towards the middle and then let it do its job. Let it sit. Come back in a little bit or do your carpet cleaning, and then when you get to the spot, you're just going to extract it as normal. Now on this spot, when you'll see I extract it, well, first I did a little bit more agitation. This spot was pretty heavy, so I had to add more chemical and get some more scrubbing done there. Now you'll see as I'm extracting there's a little bit left. So what you're going to do when you are done with that extraction, this happens a lot with spaghetti sauce, it will happen with chocolate, it happens with a lot of different things that have tomatoes in it. Anything that has a red tone will typically have a little bit of a leftover spot that you can't remove. Now that's from the food dye. That's either it's a synthetic dye or it's going to be part of the red from the tomatoes. Different products have different colors. So what you want to do is when you see that happen, so I have a little bit, I can see a little bit of the red still. You want to grab your Stain Magic and that will take care of it for you. All you have to do when you have a spot like that is take your Stain Magic out and start dousing it. You make it significantly damp. It doesn't have to be sopping wet. The Stain Magic is pretty strong, so get it on there and then work it in, or if you're cleaning the carpet, spray it and then groom your carpet. Make sure that Stain Magic's coming in contact with all of the residual color that you're wanting to remove. And then all you have to do is walk away. Make sure you let your customer know, hey, there's a little bit of a residual spot there that will fade out. If it doesn't, let me know right away. But typically, that's not going to be a problem. Same as the coffee, it's just going to disappear. Now, one of the ones that you'll have periodically, it's not really common, but when you do have it, you want to make sure you do it the right way. Now, what I'm doing here first is surrounding that spot with Stain Magic. And what that's going to do is as you liquefy that ink, it's going to prevent it from spreading. So if it enters that area where the Stain Magic is, it's going to be it's going to stop it like a barrier. Now I don't like to use dribble bottles because it just adds too much chemical to the carpet, especially with this one. This is Pro's Choice. They named it Goof, so Goof, I believe, and they might have an E there. And it works excellent on removing ink. Works really good on those stubborn spots that nothing else wants to take out. Now you'll see a brush here. This is not a scrub brush. This is a brush that is specifically going to be used as a tamping brush. You put that towel down and you tamp it. This is called tamping. You're just gonna pound it pound it right on the towel like that, and what's going to happen is a lot of that, it's providing agitation, but it's not going to distort your carpet fibers. It's going to remove some of that blue you can see on the towel, but mainly what you're concerned with here is agitation. You want that ink to be loosened. You want it to come loose from the carpet fibers so that you can extract it. Now, there are specific ink removers, and that is totally fine. You can use an ink remover from really any brand name. They're all going to work sufficiently well. Now, especially when you're working with ink, do not spread it. So you want to make sure when you're using that bone scraper to actually go towards the center. Now, what I'm checking here is how far down that ink is gone. This is Sharpie marker on this carpet, so yes, you can get out permanent ink. Use a high quality ink remover or this product from Pro's Choice, and you'll be okay. Give it some time. Ink takes some time to dissolve, so as long as it's surrounded by that stain magic, you won't have to worry too much about it spreading if you walk away and give it a few minutes to rest and do its work. And then with ink removers, most of them foam up really bad, so you want to make sure you're really getting in there and you're extracting a lot. Because what will happen is you'll leave that foam and it will have a residue. So you want to make sure just spend some time. You want to keep going on your extraction until you get no more foam, and that's how you're going to know it's gone. And then make sure that you're checking inside the carpet fibers. Make sure you're checking the base, because ink has a propensity to hide from you at the base and then come back later. So make sure you're checking to just make sure it's all gone all the way down to the base of the carpet. And that's it for this module.